Isang napakagandang araw po sa ating lahat. Nandito po tayo sa unang lesson natin sa midterms. Nandito po ang Chapter 2, Rizal's Life, Memorias de un Estudiante de Manila. No? So, ito po ay isang sinulat po ni Jose Rizal at may copy po tayong binigay sa inyo. May link po ito, no? Sa my iHappy School. Na isend na po ito sa mga GC ninyo at ngayon po ay nagfa-flash na po ito dapat sa inyong screen, no? So today we'll explore Jose Rizal's Memorias de un Estudiante de Manila, no? Pag tinranslate mo ito, ang ibig sabihin nito, Memory of a Student in Manila. It is a deeply personal account of his early education under Spanish colonial rule, no? Sa notes po na meron po sa inyo, makikita po dito sa Module 3, Module 4, at Module 5. No? Now, this memoir not only reveals Rizal's formative years, but it also critiques the oppressive education system na nakikita nila, na-experience nila nung kapanahunan nila. And by the end of this video, I hope that you will understand how Rizal's experiences shape his nationalist ideals and why his reflections remain relevant today, no? Kasi kung makita niyo naman po natin ang edukasyon sa Pilipinas, kakaiba siya, no? Sobrang kakaiba, no? So, yun. Now, part 1. Ano ba yung historical context ng Memorias de un Estudiante de Manila, no? So, ano ba yung konteksto ng history? Una sa lahat, no, Rizal wrote Memorias between 1879 and 1881, pero ginamit niya ang pangalan na P. Jacinto, no? P. Jacinto, no? Bakit nagawa siya ng pen name? Kasi during this time, medyo hindi na ganun kaganda ang relasyon ng pamilya na sa mga padre na Dominikano. At dahil dito, natatakot si Rizal, nag-iisip na siya na kung malaman ng mga tao na mayroon siyang honest review, no, sa kanyang pag-aaral, ay baka balikan ang kanyang pamilya, no? Kaya gumamit siya ng pen name na P. Jacinto, no? Now, Memorias, it captures his struggles and triumphs as a student in a system designed to suppress critical thinking and maintain colonial control. Masasabi kasi natin noon na the education under the Spanish friars, ang emphasis niya kasi noon is rote memorization, religious instruction, and of course, harsh discipline, often targeting Filipino students or Indios with discrimination. Rizal's memoir exposes these injustices, reflecting his growing discontent with the system. And yun nga, his frustrations eventually led him to leave for Spain in 1882. A pivotal moment that, of course, pag-uusapan natin later on, no? We should also understand that the 1872 Cavite Mutiny and the execution of Gomburza deeply impacted Rizal. Tandaan po natin, ang kanyang kapatid si Pasiano is a close student of Father Burgos. And this event awakened Rizal to the brutalities of Spanish rule. In Memorias, Rizal draws parallels between the oppressive discipline in schools and the broader colonial oppression of Filipinos. Kung merong injustice daw sa loob ng classroom, no, reflection din daw ito kung ano ang nangyayari sa society. This awareness laid the foundation for his later nationalist writings, no. Now, punta naman tayo ngayon sa summary ng Memorias de un Estudiante de Manila. Isa-summary natin siya, pero not by chapter kasi hindi masyadong loose yung chapters niya, hindi siya ganoon ka-strict, hindi siya ganoon ka-rigid, no? Lumalaktaw-laktaw siya, may binabalikan siya, and baka maguluhan kayo. So, gawin na lang natin itong chronological summary, no? And of course, pag chronological summary, mas magiging gamay natin sa notes ito, no? Now, saan na tayo? Rizal's education in Binyan, no? So, Rizal's formal education began in Binyan under Maestro Justiniano Aquino Cruz, no? At dito, nung unang araw daw niyang pumasok, may nag-challenge daw sa kanya ng wrestling, no? Nanalo si Rizal kasi 'di ba may Tio Alberto siya na nagturo ng wrestling, no? Pero makita natin dito, imagine, unang araw mo pa lang sa eskwelahan, parang may kumakaaway agad sa'yo, may nagcha-challenge agad sa'yo, no? So, yun. So, we could say that kahit despite excelling academically, he faced favoritism, bullying, and of course, corporal punishment. These early experiences highlighted the flaws in colonial education and foreshadowed his future intellectual resistance. At age 11, si Rizal nag-move siya, nag-transfer siya sa Ateneo Municipal de Manila. Isa itong eskwelahan run by the Jesuit, no? While he thrived academically, winning numerous awards, of course, he also faced homesickness, social alienation, and racial discrimination. But despite of these challenges, Rizal's perseverance, they were shown through. Jose Rizal took a vocational course in land surveying and assessment at Ateneo Municipal, no? Habang nag-aaral din siya sa UST, na kung saan nag-start siya sa kurso na Philosophy and Letters. Pero nag-shift siya sa medicine, no? Bakit? Ito na kasi yung time na yung eyesight ng kanyang mother is yun nga, nasisira, no? So, kailangan ng tao na gagamot sa nabubulag niyang nanay. Isa ito sa pinakamalaking what if sa Philippine history, no? What if tinuloy-tuloy ni Rizal ang kanyang pag-aaral sa kurso na ito? What if hindi nagkasakit ang kanyang nanay, hindi siya nabubulag, no? At tinapos ni Rizal ang Philosophy and Letters, no? What if hindi siya nag-medicine? Kasi if we would think about it, if nagtuloy-tuloy siya sa Philosophy and Letters, he could have legally defended Filipinos against injustices committed by the Spanish officials and friars. And he could have used Spanish laws to challenge their abuses. Mas marami sana siyang alam sa law, no? Number 2, if nagtuloy-tuloy siya sa original na kurso, he could have fought for reforms through the legal system, no? Instead na magsulat siya ng No Limit Tangere o El Filibusterismo para ma-expose ang mga colonial injustices, he might have worked within Spanish institutions to push for reforms in governance and land policies. Third, he could have served as a diplomatic voice for the Filipinos. Rizal's intellect and command of the Spanish language, it could have allowed him to negotiate better conditions for the Philippines in the Spanish Cortes. Ito yung parang parliament, no, ng Espanya noon. Kasi noon merong delegate noon sa 1812 Cadiz Constitution, si Ventura de los Reyes, no? Now, what if, yun nga, nagtuloy-tuloy lang si Rizal sa kurso niya, later on, baka daw na maging diplomat siya para sa Pilipinas, no? However, kung titingnan din naman natin ang history, no, The effectiveness of this path is questionable because of the racial discrimination and rigid colonial structure sa Espanya nung panahon na yon, no? Even if Filipino ilustrados were lawyers such as Marcelo H. Del Pilar at si Graciano Lopez Haina, they still face significant barriers in influencing Spanish policies. If Rizal had become a lawyer, he might have influenced legal reforms, yes, but he would have been severely constrained by the colonial system at yung tinahak ng daan, no, na kung saan ay kinombine niya yung medicine, writing, pagsusulat at reformist activism. Actually, this allowed him to educate and inspire hindi lang isang henerasyon pero mga henerasyon, no, na mga Pilipino, making him a more effective agent of change. Rizal's role as a writer and a martyr shaped the national consciousness in a way that, a legal career might not have, no? And his sacrifice awakened Filipinos to the need for independence, proving that sometimes symbolic resistance, like what Mahatma Gandhi did in India, no, it is more powerful than legal advocacy in a deeply unjust system. And we could see, no, the importance of symbolic resistance. Nakita natin ito sa EDSA, no, sa EDSA People's Revolution, no, na isa sa mga nagmitsa na bumalik ang demokrasya sa Pilipinas, no? So yun, ang gandang what if ng ang gandang what if na isipin na what if hindi siya nag-medicine, no? Pero yun, hanggang doon na lang, hanggang what if na lang, no? Now, balikan natin yung balikan natin yung kwento ni Rizal, no? So, UST, medicine, noon napapansin na ni Rizal na parang unfair, no? Unfair ang mga Spanish teachers, no? At dito naman Rizal's frustrations deepened, no? Napansin niya kasi professors were dismissive, learning was rigid, and Filipino students were reminded always of their inferior status. As nakita dito na parang napansin niya na yung grades nila hindi masyadong fair, no? Yung paggrado sa unfairly graded daw, no? Dito nakita ni Rizal, no? Napansin niya na yung system talaga ng edukasyon sa colonial Philippines designed to keep Filipinos subordinate, no? Na kahit anong gawin nila, injo lang, no? Meron tayong napanood dito na isang TED Talks, isang professor ng UST na kung saan ay in-examine nila yung grades ni Rizal noong siya ay estudyante, no? Maganda ding panoorin. Ito, I think nag-flash ito sa screen ninyo, no? So, it's a good also to watch this, no? It will not take 15 minutes of our time, no? So, para sa dagdag na kaalaman, please watch this video, no? Now, despite yung mga challenges nito, Rizal pursued his intellectual interest, and yun nga, mas dinamihan niya yung kaalaman niya sa European literature, history at sa sciences. At napaka-importante ng period na ito because this marked his transformation from a brilliant student to a revolutionary thinker. At dito napagtanto ni Rizal na kailangan niyang mag-aral sa ibang bansa. Now, Rizal's Memorias exposes the social hierarchy in colonial education, where Spanish and Mestizo students were favored over Indios. This systemic discrimination reflects the broader oppression of Filipinos under Spanish rule. No? And Rizal's critics, no, yung mga kritiko ni Rizal, no, sa Spanish education, ito, rote memorization, harsh discipline, and lack of encouragement for critical thinking. And kung titingnan natin ngayon sa kasamaang palad, these issues still resonate, no? So yung mga reklamo ni Rizal, yun din ang reklamo sa edukasyon natin ngayon sa pangkalahatan sa Pilipinas, no? So yun, kung titingnan natin sa international standards, medyo mababa tayo sa mathematics at sa sciences, no? Pati din sa English competency. So yun ang problema natin, no? So yun, our basic education, I think no, there is a problem. As per sariling opinion ko lamang po ito, no? Kung titingnan nyo nga, imbis na magbigay siya ng hope for the younger generation, ang DepEd, madami tayong nakikitang issues ng corruption, no, sa DepEd, no, na kailangan sanang ayusin. And of course, parang madami din kasing challenges yung K-12 program sa Pilipinas. Anyway, despite its flaws, Rizal saw education as a means of empowerment, no? Ang education pa rin para sa kanya isang paraan na mag-equalize sa ating lahat. And his journey from Binyan to Spain, no, exemplifies how knowledge can challenge oppression and inspire change. Isang tema na nakikita natin sa kanyang mga nobela ng Noli Me Tangere at El Filibusterismo. Rizal's call for educational reform remains relevant today as the Philippines continues to grapple with issues like underfunded schools and unequal access to quality education. Globally, his fight for justice resonates with movements like Black Lives Matter sa US, no? O yung female education sa Afghanistan, no? Highlighting the universal struggle against systemic oppression. Memorias humanizes Rizal. Pinapakita ng Memorias ang buhay hindi ng isang bayaneng Rizal, kundi ng buhay ng isang estudyanteng Rizal. Estudyanteng Rizal na nabully, may mga self-doubt, at naka-experience ng discrimination. This personal side of Rizal reminds us that heroes are shaped by their struggles and resilience. No? Lahat naman tayo nagkakaroon ng challenges, but what makes people heroes is how they react to these challenges. Memorias de un Estudiante de Manila is more than a historical document. It's a call to action. Rizal's experiences remind us of the transformative power of education and the need to fight for justice and equality. And as we reflect on his journey, let's consider how we can apply these lessons to address modern challenges in education and society. Lalo na ngayon na kung saan there are attempts to change, to revise history, no? There are attempts to justify abuses. There is a call by some individuals na nagpo-promote ng mga bagay na hindi maka-Pilipino, no? So, I think dito nakikita yung importance talaga ng importansya ng Memorias, no? Now, thank you, and I look forward to your thoughts and questions later on. Maraming salamat po.